This episode of Nintendo Expansion Pass is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our family of podcasts, head over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia or search for us on the Patreon app on your smart device. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Expansions here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host and Lights Excited Eddie V. Joining me is the one, the only Boss himself, Sakari Derek.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here at this early hour.
Corey, we are back.
We are.
Fast.
We are back.
It is 2023. So,
is it? Are we sure?
Yes, everybody, we are back. We have been on vacation, playing a lot of great games, having, some bro time and at other times, me times, playing a lot of games. But we kind of want to give you guys an update. What is the plan for Expansion Pass going forward? So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, Corey.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, what we're gonna do at this point is, we want to make this show a little bit more predictable for you guys. Instead of just having like a random topic every week, we'll still do one of those episodes once in a while, right? But like, or maybe make it like the second half of an episode or something. But I feel like, and this is across Boss Rush, I feel like we need to, with our bonus content, we need to be more predictable and offer a little bit more for you guys as we move forward. So basically what I'm going to do here is we're going to list off the shows that will be incorporated into Expansion Pass. So right now, Expansion Pass has just kind of been random topics, but now we're going to do the first week of every month for patrons. Also, Expansion Pass is moving to 2-week early access period for everybody. Everything that we offer for early access, all of it's going to be 2 weeks early, except for the Boss Rush podcast, and that's going to be 1 week early. But all of our, our interviews and Talk the Walk and Expansion Pass and everything else we do is going to be 2 weeks early for patrons. Only the $1 level gets you 2-week early access to everything, and so on and so forth. Also, all of our housekeeping and stuff is going to be pre-recorded so we can spend more time talking during our episodes, which I think you've probably heard on a couple episodes of Nintendo Power Block by now. So right now we're gonna do Next Gen Nintendo, where Ed and I kind of discuss what we think is going to happen with Nintendo's next console, kind of features we want, what we expect to see, talk about different features that the other consoles have that we might want to see implemented into Nintendo's next console, that kind of thing. And then when Nintendo's next console comes out, we'll talk a little bit, obviously just talk about the hardware and then maybe come up with something new by then. I don't know. It's probably a couple years away at this point. So the second and fourth week, or the second and last week of every month, we're going to do Ranking Nintendo. We're finishing up our consoles, and then Ed's going to do one with a panel of people. I might do one with a panel of people. So we're going to kind of figure that out. But Ranking Nintendo is coming back. We're very excited for Ranking Nintendo. Love it. We actually, spoilers, we actually just recorded 2 episodes with Stephanie. Very excited to get those out for the 3DS and the Wii U. And then the third week of every month for patrons, we are going to update everybody on Nintendo Switch's financials, how they did the previous month, the NPD stuff, and then kind of go over what games are coming out the following month. So, even if you aren't a patron, that will still kind of have a generalized idea of what to expect. If you are a patron, then you will get it early. And that's kind of what we're looking at for expansion pass right now. If there's a 5 week month, we're going to do the random topic as the 5th week. And then obviously, if we can't fill one of these episodes for the month, we will do a generalized topic, random topic type thing. But this is kind of the schedule we're going to try to be on. Ed, what are you thinking about this?
Um, it's really good. I mean, having something, we literally have something planned for the weeks for our listeners to have, because like the NPD stuff, and that's very interesting because there's been like almost every week something is happening across the world with Nintendo. So definitely Japan with its consoles, and games selling certain on certain days. Like there may be a game release, and that might automatically hit like 1 million something within a day and a half. That's something to talk about because you don't see games hitting that number on one console that quickly and everything. And if you do see it, normally it's for something that's multi-platform. But with Nintendo, a lot of games that come out kind of hit that 1 million mark within a day worldwide. So that's really interesting to have that discussion.
You look at Pokemon and it sold 10 million copies in 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
Splatoon sold 7 million copies in a week. Like, we kind of want to cover that stuff more, but we don't want to take away the time we have for on Nintendo Power Block to do that stuff because there's other news stories we feel that are more important. But I think there's enough interest in Switch sales in the upcoming lineup and NPD stuff and sales across the world that I think we could dedicate one episode a month to that and kind of update everybody. I think everybody's interested in that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
and especially our audience. And I think we should do that.
Yeah, it's interesting since definitely with PlayStation 5 getting more popular. Now it's coming in stores. Even with Series X, and Series S, like those consoles are getting more availability in stores. So
Hmm.
with Nintendo's current hardware and games coming out, it's going to be interesting to see what numbers they achieve with those consoles being out. And so that ends up leading us to talk about the next gen console from Nintendo. What
Hmm.
are they going to plan to do?
Hmm.
Like, what games are they going to have? What innovative idea they're going to go? Because of course they could still bring out a pro version of the Switch. That would be fine with some people. But with games being more kind of detailed, um, using more powerful engines and stuff. And of course, some people said some of the technical aspect of the Switch is like kind of showing right now, like the oldness and stuff. It's going to be interesting to see what Nintendo does and what they use. Definitely with still a chip shortage. Hopefully that gets better over time by the time their new system come out. That's the conversations that we're going to kind of have.
Hmm.
Um, with Nintendo and their next gen system because it is going to be something that not only we're going to be looking at and stuff and other content creators, but the whole gaming industry is going to be looking at. Sony and Microsoft is going to pay attention to what they're going to do and stuff. Hey, Nintendo could literally go to Microsoft and be like, "We would love to have your cloud stuff in our system." And this is coming from Japan. If Japan could talk to Microsoft, which is an American company, and they could get something, that's stuff that we need to discuss and everything.
Yeah.
Definitely with the next gen system, we talked about a little bit on Pop Block, Microsoft's contract with Call of Duty for 10 years. How that is going to affect Nintendo's next system? Because what if that would be like, okay, they're giving us Call of Duty, we need something to make sure that we run the best version of Call of Duty. It may not be the
Hmm.
greatest like Xbox because we know they are they're going to do what they're going to do. But we want to know that if we're going to get something as big as this, we want to deliver to our players the best experience on our platform, and that's big consideration stuff and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think that's a good discussion that we definitely can have until the next announcement, next reveal, or even if it's a beefier switch before the next gen version comes up. That's something that we need to discuss and everything. And just having it once a month, definitely with the way news come out, it may be something that breaks, and we be like, man, we might want to jump on and talk about this for 15 minutes or something. Who knows? But I think that's going to be really, really good. And of course, ranking Nintendo, it's fun to see. Definitely, it's fun to hear and have those discussions and everything. It's just to hear where people were at with these games or with these consoles, or with a certain series or in characters. It's good to hear everybody's history with it, and they're just talking about what they experienced it, and then get into the ranking. Because sometimes the ranking is going to be like, pushing and pulling this stuff, but that's the fun thing about ranking the stuff,
Hmm.
and it doesn't automatically make it this is the definitive for this person or for the show or anything, but it's good to hear what do all of us think uh about where we place certain things in the Nintendo universe and
Right.
everything.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, ranking stuff. And right now, we're finishing up our ranking the Nintendo consoles, right? And that's been a really fun discussion that we've had over the last year. Um, because that started as a standard def show, and now we're moving it to expansion pass to hopefully kind of have a better kind of streamlined version of it, and
Hmm.
hopefully have a more consistent version of it. Because our last episode was in September, I think, for
Yes.
this, and like kind of right when we were wrapping up standard def, because it was the last couple episodes were like ranking Nintendo and then the Ninja Turtle stuff that we should probably still finish with Lamont, because
Yes.
we need to. And maybe at some point we'll bring standard def away from that kind of all around and bring it into the fold for expansion pass first at some point. I don't know yet, but because I do miss that show. It's just schedules and prioritizing things and everything that
Hmm.
it just hasn't worked out the three times we've tried to bring it through. But yeah, ranking's gonna be fun. I think the financial stuff's gonna be fun. I think talking next gen Nintendo is gonna be awesome, because that's how Pal Block started, was when we were like, I mean, not really started, but like, probably 6 months in, we started hearing the rumors of the Switch and what it could do, and that weird oval prototype thing. Remember that
Oh,
prototype that was floating around that ended up being fake, but everybody thought
yes.
that's what it was, with the joystick sticking out of the middle of the screen and the oval shape and the buttons on it, and like, it seems silly now, but back then it seemed like, oh my gosh, this is the ugliest thing. I hope this isn't real. Yada yada.
We actually had a discussion on Power Block about concept arts for systems that
Hmm.
people we're gonna have, and why it always happens with a Nintendo system. Because I never hear it about PlayStation or Microsoft that anyone
Hmm.
does what the system could be. But when it comes to Nintendo, some people sometimes make some cool concept art on what it could be.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about code names and stuff like that, because I think even like when we do next gen, I think we could kind of use that as like a look back on certain things too. Like, we
Hmm.
just recorded our Wii U episode, and that was Project Cafe, and like we can kind of talk about that kind of stuff on next gen Nintendo too, where we kind of go back and look at, oh well, this was, remember the Wii was called the Revolution and it looked awesome, and they showed off, like the first game they showed off was Red Steel, and
Yes.
like we can kind of talk about that stuff and how we kind of looked forward to the next console while we were still playing the old consoles, and then kind of iterate that into the new, like, what do we want from Nintendo next kind of thing. We could do some really interesting things with this new setup, and I'm really excited. Yeah, we'll still do the random stuff. Direct recap show will obviously still exist as soon
Yes.
as there's a Nintendo Direct, right? Which will
Right.
probably happen sometime. What we're recording this, what, the first week of January. Um, there will probably be a Nintendo Direct sometime within the next 6 weeks, I'm sure. I think the last of February, it seems to be the month everybody has circled, the second week of February. Whatever, we'll see. If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support. Because after Tears of the Kingdom, I can't stop calling it Breath of the Wild 2. After Tears of the Kingdom, we really don't know. You know, we know Metroid Prime 4 is in development and Advance Wars is in there somewhere, but like, we really don't know what's coming. You know,
Pretty much it's a wrap for Nintendo first party for by the time the summer comes.
Yeah, which is why I'm really excited for E3 this year. I was thinking about that last night while I couldn't sleep because I was watching some old Giant Bomb watch-alongs for old E3s last night while I was trying to fall asleep.
It's so crazy. I've been watching some of the E3s and the directs too. I was watching Easy Allies about theirs.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm oddly excited to see what Nintendo does for E3 this year. Not because like I'm excited for E3. I think we're so overwhelmed with conferences and announcements and everything. I mean, look, we're 6 days in and we've got like 20 announcements so far. I'm like, oh my gosh, just stop. I'm tired. But I'm excited to see what Nintendo does because we literally don't know. We literally don't know anything.
So literally, if we think about it, Metroid Prime, just after Tears of the Kingdom, Metroid Prime, Advance Wars, and Pikmin 3. Just those 3 games. Pikmin 4, I'm sorry. Those are only 3 games that we know of, but we don't have no concrete information.
Yeah, man, this is an odd year, and I'm really thinking. I know people are saying that the next gen Nintendo console is spring of 2025. I think that's a fair assessment. Some analysts are saying 2024. I think that's too soon. I think we would have heard.
I said 26.
I think March 25 is kind of where I'm headed. But like some people are saying 24. I'm like, we would have heard things by now. Things would have slipped out, like chip sets, and like I know all that stuff exists for like that Switch Pro that got canceled internally. And, you know, there's other things floating around there that we've talked about off air, which I still think some of it is true and some of it might have been altered over the last 6 months. But we still have a lot of time with this console, right? Like we still have at least 2 years. Let's put it that way. And that's a lot of time to fill.
Yes.
Right.
And I think it's because of the OLED dropping. I think that's why I'm pushing it for some, because of that the OLED dropping. Because like, in a sense, it's weird because with the OLED, the light, and then the original one, even the update version from the original, I feel like with the OLED, it still has something for it to hold us over, so they can get into talking and promotion. Because I think just like the Nintendo Switch reveal, I think we're going to get that commercial. I think we're going to get a tweet from Nintendo to be like, "Hey, check out our latest update. We got something to reveal for you guys, and it's their next console, or maybe their next Switch version." And it's that trailer that we're all going to look at and analyze and talk about, and we're going to look for the Nintendo tweet.
I'm still of the opinion that whatever they do next is going to be very similar to the Switch. Just because I think we talk about backwards compatibility a lot and how it's a must, especially for Nintendo now, right? Because Sony's doing it, sort of. Microsoft is doing it, probably the best out of all three companies at this point. And I think just the way Nintendo has their online stuff structured and the way they push digital games and the that aspect of portability plus playing it on your TV, I think they have to do another version of the Switch, like
Hmm.
not a Switch Pro, but I mean like a Switch 2, right?
Yes.
Especially because I don't think they can ignore the Steam Deck either, right? I know it hasn't sold nearly as many units as like as people think it has or whatever, but that thing is pretty popular, right?
Yeah.
I think almost everybody at Boss Rush except you and I have one or want one, right? Like
Oh, not
that thing.
me.
I don't care. I don't I don't care about Steam Deck. Uh, but I don't think it's something that can be ignored, right? Especially by Nintendo, who dominates this space, you know.
Right.
And I think as we look forward, Nintendo needs to do something similar enough that it feels like a natural progression of the Switch, but different enough to make it feel new. And that's something we're going to get into on next gen Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Is like what can they do to differentiate it from the Switch while still feeling like a Switch? For me, I think it's I know some people are saying, "Why don't they make us a home console and then a portable one?" And I'm like, what? They already did that
They
for
did that.
35 years
Yeah.
and it's just I mean, you
It,
see
it,
their home
it,
console numbers go like this and then you see their portable numbers kind of do one of these things and
I
you're
mean,
like,
I wouldn't even say trying to see them go
no.
up, but
Remember?
they did it for so long time for a long time. Is that we that's what we remember about their business model, and it's kept
But
Nintendo
but
it's kept Nintendo ongoing, I should say.
right, but you're telling me you want them to R&D two separate consoles,
Oh no 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 no.
no, I'm
Oh
not you. I mean like the
oh
generalized you who are saying they need to make two consoles again. And I'm like, you're telling me you want them to R&D two separate consoles. That's double the R&D money. You want them to make a less powerful handheld that will play some games, and then you want them to make a set-top box that will play some games. Remember, don't you remember when we were doing 3DS and Wii U coverage, like
yeah.
how it would be like 6 or 7 months before we would get a Wii U game because they had all these 3DS games coming out, and then we would talk about these 2 or 3 Wii U games while we waited for 3DS games. It was awful. It was terrible. Look at the cadence of Switch games that we have right now. It's amazing. We're getting something literally every 4 to 6
Corey,
weeks,
when we was talking about
plus third
Power
party
Block,
support, plus indie
when
support.
when I asked that question on Power Block about the evolution of the Nintendo Direct, that showcased you what Nintendo was doing. Remember at a time when like they didn't have no presenters, I should say. Um, with the Nintendo Direct, they start everything with 3DS, and then they went to Wii U. And it
Hmm.
was just like going list to list. Why would we want to go back there when Nintendo has already seen the success of what Switch can do? You could get
Hmm.
everything. You could play this game on the go. That's your portable version. If you want to
Hmm.
play it on the home console on your TV, you could do that, and it makes streamlining the directs in order to
Yeah.
get those games easier because you don't want to now. What third party indie team want to separate their teams to make two versions of a game for
Hmm.
Nintendo?
Yeah, I mean, they're already like there are teams out there that don't want to do that for the Switch by itself, let alone
Right.
two separate consoles, right? So I don't know. I don't think they should do that. I do think they should stick to something that is kind of portable, at least. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that they found the sweet spot with the Switch. I would be okay if they just didn't make a new console and just made a more powerful Switch to kind of draw in third parties, kind of like the new 3DS. I would 100% be okay with that. Um, is that what they're going to do? I don't know. I hope so, but that's something that we'll definitely dive deeper into on next gen Nintendo. Uh, the one thing I'm actually really interested in Ed though is I know we kind of said spoiler alert was going to be a thing, and I
Mm-hmm.
think we're still going to do that at some point. Uh, we're also introducing Boss Rush Book Club, which is on the Boss Rush podcast feeds. So I think spoiler alert will be the Nintendo version of that. Uh, I think we gotta figure out when and how we're gonna do that. I think we still need to do Death's Door for sure, but
Yes.
I think our first game will probably be Fire Emblem in February.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, it's we are gonna kind of work that stuff out. I think all this scheduling stuff, because we still got to make logos and graphics and stuff for everything. We'll probably start in March, I think.
Yeah.
This new kind of rotation. So you're gonna get random stuff for the next couple weeks, and then in February we'll make the bigger announcement of when this is starting, and kind of give you a schedule. What we'll do is kind of post a monthly schedule for what's coming from Expansion Pass through the PAL Block Twitter and Facebook and Instagram accounts.
Yeah. I just ordered a calendar from Amazon.
I also
I
ordered a weekly planner that's going to be here tomorrow.
That's what I need to order.
Hmm.
But I want to get it in a book form.
Yeah, and
Um.
then as I update my personal planner, I am going to I have a Bossers Media calendar started. I just need to I need to get people's email addresses first of all, and kind of
Mhm.
have everybody update their calendars on their phones and stuff. Uh, but what I'll do is kind of have a Google Calendar running as I update and get everybody invited to things. So
I'm a, I could say this. I'm gonna have a lot to play because book
yeah,
club, spoiler cast, talk
my
the walk, and like a lot.
mhm. My big thing is like editing all this is going to be the big issue. Um,
Hmm.
which maybe you and I will talk later since you got a new computer, and we'll figure out maybe editing expansion pass at some point uh, or something. Because I mean, let's see with the new stuff we're doing. So our full
Yes.
for those who only listen to this show, obviously we're part of Boss Rush Media and the Boss Rush Network and stuff. So we have the Boss Rush podcast, right? We have Boss Rush After Dark. We have Nintendo Power Block. Those are our three kind of main shows, I guess you would call them.
Yes.
And then obviously Expansion Pass is a supplement of Nintendo Power Block, and we just kind of listed out everything, right, that we're doing. For Boss Rush's supplemental shows, we're bringing back the Boss Rush Presents label, which is going to incorporate Talk the Walk, 1v1, video game book club, like we said.
Hmm.
And then we're going to introduce a retro games show called Retro Station there. That's Stoy and you. Are you doing that with him?
I haven't talked to Story about it.
Yeah,
Or anything.
I told him we're going to meet sometime this weekend or next week to talk about it a little bit.
Um, if he's free, let me see what he's doing on the 15th. Which is next Sunday because um I am off that day. So of course
Yeah.
I still got church in the morning. I know he got EXP cast, but then I'm free after service. So
Yeah. So 1v1 Retro Station, Talk the Walk, Video Game Book Club, and then Boss Rush Extra will be the kind of random fifth show that we put there on weeks that have uh you know
mhm,
five, what do you call it, 5 weeks.
weeks. Yeah.
um and then obviously we still have the direct recap show here that'll go up whenever when a direct goes up, and then we'll have a uh obviously Crossroads is still going to exist with LeBron and excuse me. And then I kind of want to start doing other stuff, but I don't know where that time's going to be. Uh, Considering I'll have like 2 or 3 computers going through editing everything at the same time.
And just so that give you guys some updates also for Expression Pass. There's gonna be episodes where Corey's not gonna be on, so it'll be
Yeah,
me and the guests um
it'll most
talking.
likely be the ranking Nintendo episodes. Like, one of the upcoming things that we have written down is ranking Pokemon starters. Right.
Yes.
I'm not going to be on that. All right. I don't care enough about Pokemon to do that. Right. Here's my ranking: Charizard, everybody else, or Charmander, everybody else. Okay, that's the ranking. Um, so there's stuff like that. I'm sure we'll do like ranking 2D Mario games, which something like that. Ranking 2D Zelda games, stuff like that. We'll get people who love that stuff, right? I think something that would be really cool once Block is done with his Final Fantasy retrospective on his YouTube channel would be to rank Final Fantasy games would be super
Which
interesting.
cannot tell you, dude. I jumped back to Final Fantasy 7 on Xbox. Like I put the double speed on, and I'm just like
Oh, the
going through
original,
that game. Yeah,
yeah.
I just had I don't for some unknown reason I had the urge, and I think it was because it was on sale. Because I think I got it on Switch also.
Hmm.
I just had the urge of getting it and wanting to play, and I think I'm doing it just because of the trophies
Hmm.
on there.
Yeah, I they were all on sale. I ended up getting I ended up getting Final Fantasy 10 and 12 on Xbox. Oh, during the sale. I didn't get the older
Okay.
ones. I thought about getting I thought about getting 7, 8 and 9 on there, but dude, I spent more money than I
Lord.
needed to on sales, so I
So
just had to stop.
I because they gave me a $10 coupon or a $10 thing for Xbox, and I put on my Twitter page that do I need to get Final Fantasy 8 and give it a fair try? I know that's one of your favorites
It
for
is.
Final
I
Fantasy 8.
Now,
I
granted, it's been a long time since I played Final Fantasy 8, and I don't know how well it holds up. I know a lot of people have an issue with the junction system,
mhm.
and Squall is kind of like a mopey weirdo, but I still really like Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 8.
I've,
Uh, and from what I remember playing it, and
it's,
I did get it on Switch, so maybe
uh-huh.
someday.
Because I was thinking about if I get 8, should we do that as a book club game?
I mean, we could. I
Because
mean, that would be. I think that would be like a really good retro station game.
Virtual Station game, okay.
Yeah.
Because
It-
I'm like, I the reason I had a problem with 8 was the combat system. I don't have a problem with the characters or the story or the music. It was that combat, and it really felt weird that no matter how much I grind, it felt like I wasn't getting stronger to take enemies out. And the weapons, like the buy weapons, was weird.
mhm.
So I think it's a game that I just need to sit down and just try to learn because I really don't want to go through a strategy guide or anything, but I really want to be fair to that game.
Mhm.
So it's been on my mind, and I think it's been on my mind of playing Final Fantasy VII Original. Because definitely when the Pixel remasters come out, that's going to be something that we're definitely going to be talking about, and stuff. Because I've never played the original Final Fantasy. So I'm excited to play that.
Yeah. The you're talking about when the Pixel remasters come out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That'll be fun. Um yeah, I mean, I think that first Final Fantasy game is so important to the way RPGs are played, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know how well it holds up. I haven't played the original Final Fantasy since the Final Fantasy Origins collection came out on PS1, right? Like right
Ooh.
after PS2 came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up buying that because I was really obsessed with Final Fantasy 9 and 8 and 9, and I was waiting on 10 to come out. Um and so I played through Final Fantasy 1. That game is really it's obtuse and weird and hard. I think the pixel remasters will kind of eliminate a lot of that stuff because I think
Yeah.
they clean up a lot of that. Plus, I'm sure they'll have like the turbo mode and stuff that's available in the other titles. But when I played it, it was a nice reminder of how far we have had come in that just 20 years at that point, and now almost 40. Gosh, 40 years.
It's dude, it really is something to look at because at the time it was Final Fantasy versus Dragon Quest, and
Yeah, and now
like
they're like, you know,
under the same house and stuff. And it's weird because now like Dragon Quest and or Dragon Warrior at a time in America, Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy has become big properties, but now JRPGs have expanded so much. Like Octopath Traveler, Fire Emblem has become big, like on the same level as Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. Like it's huge. With definitely just with some of the Nintendo's games when it comes to RPGs have been very big. Pokemon has been very big. Those are kind of like the really big RPGs, and the only one that was really going against Nintendo with JRPGs was like Fantasy Star from
mhm.
Sega.
Yeah.
Like like I'm sorry Microsoft and I'm sorry Sony, but like they didn't have no first party JRPGs that was going against Nintendo or
Hmm.
anything or on that kind of level.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, we're gonna get into all this stuff. I'm really
Mm.
excited. I'm really excited for the direction of expansion pass.
Yes.
I'm actually excited. I haven't been this excited for the direction of Boss Rush in a while. I'm just really trying to coordinate everybody and everything to make sure everybody's on the same page. And we're going to have a meeting about this in a week or two, probably. Um, I mean, we've already talked about it. So if you're at work, but
Just
I'll
update me.
just update everybody else. But, with Celeste doing great work with the interviews and Talk the Walk kind of a couple months ahead of things. And, Video Game Book Club kind of taking I don't know if you've watched Min Max's Deepest Dive, Ed, but we're going to kind of go that route to where obviously we're not going to be able to play like, Harry Potter is going to be a huge game, or
Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy is going to be a huge game, and Star Wars is going to be a huge game, and Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a huge game. So, like, I
Are
think
you
we're going
gonna
to
do
we'll probably
like
take
do it?
like,
Oh, I was gonna say like doing it by chapters.
yeah,
Like
something like that, or just, kind of divided up into 2 or 3 episodes. I mean, that Tears of the Kingdom one's gonna take probably 3 or 4 episodes at least to talk through,
mhm.
I mean, I think, again, we need to figure out how the game is divided and, um, take notes and everything, but, yeah, that I'm really excited to get into that, and, um, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people that wanna be on that episode.
I think with Tears of the Kingdom, definitely for me, I think I want to journal it in a
Uh-huh.
sense. Kind
Yeah.
of do.
Well, that's another thing too is like I'm gonna try to keep a journal of everything that I play this year and kind of write about what I did during my play session.
Yeah, because with Tears of the Kingdom, I think just like with Breath of the Wild, everybody's gonna have their own adventure and
Hmm.
stuff that you miss.
Yeah.
From what I did, I might miss from what you did. It'd be like, wait, did that happen? How?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we never know because I think Tears of the Kingdom is just going to be just a different experience. I feel like from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, I think Breath of the Wild is a great foundation for what this new Zelda style is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I also think even with this iteration, if not this one, the next Zelda game, Breath of the Wild is going to be very hard to go back to in some respects, you know? And that has me scared and excited at the same time to do that.
I still do. I feel you on this trilogy. If we have like, outside of Edge and Calamity, if we get a third game design like this to wrap it up,
Mm-hmm.
I would be surprised because I'm just like, do, I think the big question is going to be for me while playing Tears of the Kingdom: does it need DLC? And if the game is that big, or it has a lot to do and a lot of lore to it, I don't think it's going to need a DLC. I'm gonna be like
Yeah, but
Anuma.
that DLC, the DLC for Breath of the Wild was so popular
Yeah.
and cheap also, right? I mean, you got
Yes.
two huge DLC. Well, one kind of decent sized DLC and one huge DLC for $20, right? I mean, there are season passes out there that cost, or, expansions that cost 40 and $50 now, right? That are nowhere near as lengthy as, I mean, Horizon's DLC probably when it comes out will be like 35 or $40, right? And don't get
Hmm.
me wrong, probably totally worth it, but also,
Yes.
you know, anyways. Uh anything else, Ed? I mean, I'm really just excited for 2023 for Boss Rush. I know we're kind of late getting some of this new stuff iterated and on, but like, I think I'm aiming for March for all of this to happen. And
Yeah.
we're kind of
That's
pre-recording some episodes to get them ready. Obviously, like when we do next gen, or when we, especially the updates on Nintendo Switch sales and lineup stuff, we're gonna have to really do that.
that's going to be interesting. So Nintendo Life, we're definitely going to be looking for you. Maybe
Yeah,
Game Informer. I
yeah,
still go to Game Informer to get news and stuff.
yeah. I still go to
To
Game
check them out.
Informer to see what games are coming out. That's like the main
Yes.
reason I go there. I mean, I still read Game Informer a lot. I out of the big kind of quote unquote major outlets, Game Informer is
Mm,
really the last one that I kind of go to on the regular. I
yeah.
don't know. IGN's just so hard to navigate nowadays, and there's so many ads, and it's like, man, I click on Nintendo and I get a thing for the Last of Us show. I'm like, this doesn't belong here. Um, Nintendo Life, and obviously that whole family of websites like Push Square and Pure Xbox also are like my go-tos now.
Hmm.
And stuff like Video Game Chronicle and Insider Gaming, and I mean, when I need Destiny news, I go to Forbes because Paul Tassi is such a great reporter,
Oh, oh, nice.
or like if I need Xbox news, I go to Windows Central because Jez Corden is so reliable, right? Like,
You know what? I don't even think about Windows Central. Like
I
even
mean,
with even
I
with Push Square, I need to go to them.
mhm.
And uh, and what was the
Yeah,
Xbox one?
pure Xbox.
Pure
I
Xbox.
mean, they're literally just the Nintendo Life family of websites
Okay.
for those other consoles. So, um, but sorry, I got this cough, man. Like I said before we started recording tonight, I feel like an 80-year-old man with lung cancer
Ah,
with this
no.
cough, because it's like it's hard. Like I try to keep it in
Hmm.
and not cough like super hard, because it'll like, I feel like something will be ripping out of my head. But also, if I try to keep it in, like it has this high pitched squealing sound, and I don't like the way that sounds either. So,
Uh, that's why a
you know,
lot of our cough and cold stuff is disappearing, which is weird because people been buying. I was telling my associate at work today. No, actually yesterday. I'm like, I feel like people who are buying all this cough medicine and allergy medicine, this is not a good mix that y'all doing. Because I'm just like, are y'all taking all of this at the same time?
yeah,
Y'all gonna really like make yourself self sick or overdose or kill yourself because this is not good at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
So,
Well, you know,
but
uh,
yeah, just like you, Corey, I'm excited for this.
hmm yeah. I feel like this will also give people stuff to look forward to. Like I know some people like the random conversations we have, which
Yes.
don't worry. I'm sure random conversations will happen, especially during like the end, like the back half of certain episodes, right? Like I think next gen Nintendo, there's going to be a lot of side tangents on that. or even the updates on Switch's sales and financial stuff. But like,
Yeah.
man, it's it's exciting. I think people like a little bit of predictability in their chaos, if that makes sense. And I hope that this does it for you. I hope we do. I hope we do good by it, and we'll run it for a few months and see what people think. And I hope you guys enjoy it,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to like the financial updates and the lineup stuff.
Yeah, because I want to just see, have the discussion about just games around the world for Nintendo and how they sell it and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, um,
I'm
who
also
knows?
I'm also looking forward to a lot of arguments during next gen Nintendo.
Oh
I feel like you and
goodness,
I are going to disagree on a lot of things.
it's it's. Well, I know you're gonna give me on the engine stuff. You be like, "Oh, here go
Yeah,
Ed with this engine thing." I'm like, but
I know.
if we're talking about next gen, I'm like, Nintendo need to get on that level, and if they can, because
Hmm.
before we leave everybody, dude, I literally was thinking about would Nintendo be fine with doing 2K, or is or
I think I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think Nintendo needs 4K. I just think they need more power in terms of like they need to, and I'm not a tech person, so I'm sorry.
mm,
I think they need whatever they can do to get a steady frame rate up to like 60 frames. I know some people say that 30 is fine, and in some cases I do agree, but I've been playing so many games on Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 recently that
yeah,
going back to a 30 frames a second game and slow load times, like an SSD and some a little bit more power would do wonders for this console, right?
and I think it's going to be with their graphics and art style that Nintendo go with.
Yeah,
The
and
first party wise, I should
that's
say.
fine. Like I've kind of just accepted that we're never going to get a Zelda that looks like Horizon, even though I want one so bad.
Hmm.
Because I
But
mean, Horizon Forbidden West is the best looking game and the best animated game I've ever seen in my life. Like that is incredible. I'm like, man, if we could just, I would love to see a Zelda
I
like this. But
do I of course I would love to see Zelda like that. But I'm thinking Xenoblade Chronicles 4 on their next gen at 14, is it 1440p?
yeah, yeah,
Just think of that game in that style on 1440p.
yeah. I mean, I would love that. But I'm more concerned about like you know texture density and
Hmm.
stuff like that. It can run at 1080p and have incredible texture density, and I'd be totally fine with that. I like 4K stuff, I really do, but I would prefer like a texture, like really great texture work and high frame rates and faster load times over 4K, you know. So, not that 4K
Which,
doesn't look incredible, not that like
yeah.
this stuff doesn't look incredible at 4K, but like
But if
man,
Nintendo could get on that 60 frames per second, and we talked about compression and stuff, I think Nintendo's going to be trying to hit that for next gen. But
yeah, I
you know
mean,
what?
Nintendo's hitting 60 frames on the Switch in some cases, right? Like all the
Yeah,
Mario games, Mario Kart, um, the bigger games like Zelda and Xenoblade are kind of the only ones that aren't hitting it right now. And I mean, Digital Foundry did say that trailer was running at 60 frames. That Zelda trailer, that what the second one, I think they put out at 60 frames. So
yeah.
we'll see. I'm not sure, right? I mean, it is a trailer. It is, you can upload stuff on YouTube. Like technically all of our videos run at 60 frames a second on YouTube,
Mhm.
but they don't really. They run at probably 23.9, which is like the average of what a webcam can capture, right? But I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
Excited.
everybody, this is the discussions that we have, so get ready. But we're going to end it right there.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Corey, how do I end this now? Because I know, just let everybody know we are going to have recorded endings and for our housekeeping and our outros.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll probably, so We'll probably just pre-record that expansion pass stuff on Sunday after Pow Block.
Okay.
I'll have scripts and stuff ready because we got to do one for all this stuff. But yeah, so also just a heads up, we are pre-recording obviously our episode. We're pre-recording like Patreon producers and housekeeping and outro stuff where you can find us and everything. We're pre-recording all that so we can spend more time talking about the topics at hand without distracting or derailing the conversation with that stuff. I think it makes a cleaner episode. I think it's I just think it's better overall if we pre-record all that. That way we're not fumbling over scripts and everything. We're just one take. Every month we're recording the Patreon producers from the beginning of the month and just letting it ride through the end of the month, and then we'll do it again, and we'll do it again, until either Patreon doesn't exist anymore or we don't exist, or I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we're pre-recording all of it. It'll be a cleaner show. It'll be a better show. Patreon producers will probably pop up within the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the episode. So yeah.
Well, with that, everybody, welcome to the new expansion pass that we're getting ready for you guys. I tell Corey every time we do something new like this, it's a new season for the show. So hopefully you guys will join us. And welcome to Expansion Pass 2023. I think with that, everybody, we'll see you next time. Have a great week and have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Nintendo Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Nintendo Expansion Pass is part of Nintendo Power Block and is a product of Boss Rush Media LLC. The show is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio, and is hosted by me, Edward Varnell. My co-host is Corey Deary. You can find Corey at IamCoreyNHD on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting the Boss Rush Podcast and Tower Casuals, the Destiny Podcast. Follow Expansion Pass as part of Nintendo Power Block and on all social media platforms at Power Block Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.